the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here to start your week here on this Monday morning. We're glad that you've joined us wherever and whenever it is that you join us and make Auburn Blitz part of your weekly Auburn athletic intake. And as we normally do, glad to have Jason back here on this Monday morning. Jason, did you float in? Did you ride your boat in? I know you're heading out to the golf course here just a little bit, but we woke up somewhere along the end of last week and started living in the Pacific Northwest. I'm ready for this to get out of here.
Yeah, no, it's I told you in the break before they're supposed to tee off at 8 a.m. this morning at AU Club, and at 1 o'clock this morning and 3 o'clock this morning we got more rain after it rained pretty much all day yesterday and much of the day Saturday. So yeah, I drove by there yesterday and it is very, very saturated. That's the word. And so I think it's going to absolutely impact golf today. See if they're able to get started this morning. Like I said, the first tee times are scheduled to be at 8 a.m. I haven't seen anything different about how that would go, so I'm assuming they'll get started and go this morning. But yeah, looking forward to getting out there here in a little bit and seeing how day one goes.
Faith coming to us from Oxford, Mississippi. Y'all haven't been immune to the rain either. It's been raining over there. I mean, it's been all over the whole Southeast, hasn't it?
Oh my gosh, it has been disgusting here. We actually got poured on last night when we went out. There was a little break for about 3 hours. Well, the 3 hours turned into about 2, and we were not expecting us to get torrentially downpoured on while we were grilling, and that's what happened.
Yeah, it's rough out there. Jason, before we dive in, tell everybody how they can keep up with you guys at 24/7.
Yep, can check us out. Like I said, AuburnUndercover.com, part of the 24/7 network. You can find us on all the social media platforms, all those things. And can find me on Twitter at ITATJason. And yeah, like I said, a lot going on as you get to the, it's funny, you get to the busy time of the season again, a little bit different type of busy. But nonetheless, when you start talking about postseason play for 3 or 4 different sports and kicking that into high gear. And as we'll talk about a little later, throw in a football official visit to the mix and becomes a busy time.
We have a lot to talk about here on this Monday. Let's dive in. We'll start with golf since we just said that. The regional starts today at AU Club. Like you said, going to be trying to battle this rain and the way Mother Nature's undefeated. She controls everything. And so they'll have to deal with that just like everybody else. But I know Coach Kleinert and this group is excited to be at home, to have a chance to repeat as national champions. But first things first, you gotta get through regional play before you can advance.
Yeah, and that's their goal is to advance, but their goal is to go win. They go into this thing with a different mindset. Most teams go, hey, just want to get to the top 5 and qualify, and that's not what they want to do. They want to go win it. They were able to do that last year, and that's the goal for them again this year, playing at home, is they want to go win the regional and not leave any doubt as they get ready for what they hope is NCAA championships coming up. So it'll be an interesting time because you get a couple of practice rounds in for teams, and for Auburn, you've played this course so much, but now it changes everything about roll, bounce on the greens, all those things change with as much rain as we've had. So the golf course is going to play a whole lot different. And so, how do you adjust and can you make some changes to how you attack things now over this next couple of days, especially?
You have to take that into effect. One thing, Faith, that Auburn has going for them is they have a consistent lineup, and they have some guys that played on this team last year that really helped lead this team. And you were able to talk to Brendan Valdez a couple of weeks ago and Coach Kleinert, and that's where they build their confidence from is, being able to play with each other and knowing what everybody is able to do. And they kind of, he talked about that, didn't he? He said knowing where everybody is on the course and how they support each other.
Yeah, I mean, just the easy easiest part of just turning around and giving them a hand signal of if they made a birdie, what they shot. So, I mean, it's going to be hard on this nasty weather, but also just the way Jason said that the course is just saturated right now. That's going to affect the playing a lot. But the good thing is too, is it is in kind of our back pocket of this is our home course. They know how, sometimes the water can either drain or not drain on different parts of the course.
Yeah, Jason, they'll pair up with Texas A&M and UCLA, right, this morning?
Yeah, that's right. They'll play with Texas A&M, UCLA this morning. I honestly think it's 3 pairings, and I think there's a couple of individual pairings kind of thrown in there early too, as they get started. But so they'll get going, and you start to kind of try to set the tone early on. And you got a couple of those young guys, Caden Pope, Josiah Gilbert, out early for Auburn right out of the gate, and then Carson Baca, and then Valdez is at 8:33, I think, and then Jackson Coyvin at 8:44. So there's normally a little time in between as you start to kind of spread some of these things out and get players off on the course.
I know you're heading out there, Jason. We do want to encourage everybody that's watching, if you got an opportunity to go out and support the team, do that here in the next few days. It's an awesome opportunity to go and watch a golf tournament in college if you've never done that, and especially one like this where it's an NCAA regional. It's a unique experience. Again, if the weather will hold off, you get, like you said last week, Jason, you get your steps in, man. Get your exercise. You get to watch good golf, and you get your exercise all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, no, you can get some walking in for sure. May want to curtail it a little bit today, not get too far away, depending on how much more rain you get. But
wear your boots. Wear your boots today.
Not a bad day today, though, in terms of temperature. Anyway, it's supposed to get warmer here the next couple of days, and when we get back to the mid 80s, it's going to feel like 100 because it's been so cool. And hey, I'm not complaining; it's been nice, but when it warms up again, it's going to feel even warmer, and that'll start again. I think the end of this week as you get, you have that going on. You have final stretch of SEC baseball. I think. Softball goes to Tallahassee. It's supposed to be 95 when they play Friday at noon in Tallahassee.
Welcome to summer.
Baseball, softball tournaments trying to finish with all this rain going on too, so it's pretty hectic.
Yep, a lot going on. Before we dive into baseball and softball, Faith, we got some partners we want to talk about here to get things started this morning. Cincy Green.
Cincy Green, for air that's cool and clean, call on Cincy Green. They are the carrier dealers for the state of Alabama and proud supporter of Auburn athletics and proud supporter of the Auburn Blitz podcast. Like Jason just said, it is about to get hot again. It's been nice. It's been cool, but you don't want to have your house be so hot and humid when all that's going on. So making sure that you take care of this before it gets way too hot that you're not even able to step inside your house after everything. Because everything breaks. That's just how things go. But carrier units are reliable, and Cincy Green, they're going to save you thousands of dollars installing them.
And we all like saving money. Scout Program Management, full construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, that will take you from the pre-construction phase all the way to the finished product, handing you the keys and making sure everything was done correctly. They will hold the contractors accountable, and you want to do that when you're spending millions of dollars on big construction projects like new schools, renovations, whatever. It's call on Scout Program Management. All of those guys, Sloan, Jay, Charles, great people. Call on them in bunkers in downtown Auburn.
While it's nasty outside and you might not be able to get on some other golf courses, or you might not want to because you might damage the course, you can go over to Bunkers because they have the golf simulator bays and it's not going to be raining in there. It's going to be nice. So you don't even have to just play golf. They've got 27 different sports, and you don't have to wait for the cart girl to come around because there's a bar right there. There's 2 of them now. And again, great people over there, and it's so much fun. Brett and I are going to have to go back at some point this week. So
maybe this week. Yeah, I was going to say, we're overdue. So we'll be hitting Bunkers back up. Maybe Jason can take a break and he can join us over there. All right, Jason, let's talk some baseball. Baseball, man, they got the sweep You were hoping they were able to get the sweep against South Carolina because they've been struggling. But, man, I don't think anybody anticipated what happened Thursday night. My God, that was just annihilation. And came back, though, South Carolina, just like you would expect, battled, and Auburn had to squeak one out there on Friday, the first game, and then able to come back and win that second game on Friday pretty convincingly. But just your thoughts on the way Auburn finished their home series there in SEC play.
Yeah, I think you see the Thursday night game, the opener game, was 24-2, and you look at that one. But I think it's what people have to understand about series baseball, especially in college baseball, is that if you get down 8-1, and you're going, look, we can't burn one of our best pitchers in this situation. You're hoping some guys down the line can keep you in the game. If they don't, then it can wind up being that way. We saw the same thing happen in Tuscaloosa. Georgia beat Alabama 19-2 in the first game, and Alabama won a series. And so we knew South Carolina was going to come back. They did, and made it tough for game one of the doubleheader on Friday. But Auburn was able to win, scored 46 runs in 3 games, which is a program record for SEC series. And now you set yourself up to kind of see what you can do in terms of postseason play. You got 3 games left in the league. You have a Tuesday night game against Jacksonville State, and then at Ole Miss Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you got everything in front of you. You can't win the league. Texas already has 20 wins, so you can't get to that point. But you could potentially get yourself a double bye in the SEC, but in the SEC tournament. But you're looking at, what can you do in terms of hosting possibilities because of your RPI. 16 and 14 may be enough for you to host a regional. 17 might be enough for you to be a super regional host, be a national seed. 18, I think, would cement it. So if you're Auburn, everything kind of depends on what you do at Ole Miss this weekend, and that's a team that's kind of fighting for. I won't say fighting for its life. I think they're in the NCAA tournament. I also don't think that they're probably going to put themselves in a host spot unless they were to sweep too. So you start talking about, looking at it, there's so much on the line, and it's not a normal year because of what's happened at the bottom. Now, Missouri did the unthinkable and swept Texas A&M over the weekend. But because you have Missouri and South Carolina at the bottom who have combined for just 8 wins, it has added more wins across the league. And so you look at Auburn, you go, Auburn 16-11, man, that's a great season. I went back and looked, and since 2003, they had an 18-12 team in 2003. Since 2003, one Auburn team has won more than 17 games in SEC play. That 2010 team went 20-10. So you're talking about something that you're closing in on that hasn't been done potentially if you can get to 18 once in almost 25 years. And it still might not be enough to get you in the top 4 in this league because of everything that's going on. And so a whole lot still left to be determined, heading into this weekend.
But Auburn, Faith, nobody, let's be honest, with it, as tough as this league is and was going in, I didn't see Auburn being 16-11 at this point. I'll be honest, and 36-15 overall, one of the top 5 or 6 teams here in this league, and they have been very, very impressive. With one series left, like Jason said, they got everything left in front of them, man. It's been kind of a surprise, to be honest about it.
Yeah, Ole Miss right now has really struggled with their strikeouts and just kind of their offense in general. They're in the top 10 for the most home runs in the SEC, or actually I think in overall, but they're really struggling with strikeouts. Those two go hand in hand together. What kind of offense or what kind of defense is Auburn going to be, I guess, preparing for against them? Because our pitching has changed a lot in the past, year. But, kind of what do you think? What do both of y'all think about how we're going to be able to take advantage of they're really struggling in the strikeouts or being struck out?
Yeah, no, I think you look in can Auburn last weekend was a little different because it was all offense. Pitching wasn't great, and it had been pretty good lately. But I think the start-stop resumption craziness in Knoxville, and then you'd finished an entire series before, LSU and Arkansas even started on Friday. Auburn was already done. So you looked and you played 6 games in 7 days. So I think that had probably more of an impact on Auburn's pitching than anything. So now because you finished on Friday, you can kind of get back to a little bit normal rest. Mm-hmm. And so I think, the key is going to be how well you feel like you can pitch it, because there is a difficult matchup no matter where you go on this weekend. Whether it's Thursday night, if you go Sam Dutton on Thursday night, and no matter who it is, Thursday night you're going to face Hunter Elliott, and he's one of the best left-handed pitchers in the country. And that's because of Auburn's all their lefties, that's probably what they've struggled with more than anyway. So you're going to have one of these games where you have a difficult matchup because you're going up against Hunter Elliott. But you're right, this is an Ole Miss team that's got some guys that have swung the bat well, and they have hit some home runs. They've got 93, so they've got some power. But you're right, it's been kind of all or nothing. They've struck out 476 times this year, and so I think the key is going to be continuing to throw strikes for Auburn. That's what they've done a good job of. And you gotten depth in the lineup. Chris Rembert, Eric Guevara, they've Ike Irish and Cooper McMurray, and now you bring Lucas Steele in swinging the bat better. This is kind of more of what we thought this lineup could be. And if they continue to swing the bat well, then you got to feel like that Auburn has a pretty good chance to go and get a series win on the road.
Ole Miss lost that series against Mississippi State this weekend, so Auburn, getting that sweep, so they carry a little bit of momentum in. What about – this is not related to Auburn. What about Missouri? Not having a win on the season. They go to Texas A&M, who was preseason number 1, I want to remind everybody, and sweep Texas A. Who had that on their bingo card? I didn't. I thought Missouri just go ahead and wither on away and maybe set a record for losses in SEC play, or maybe not get a win at all. And then here they come and they sweep Texas A&M. Boy, that was devastating for Texas A&M.
No question, it was. I mean, Texas A&M is now 10-17, and they've got to go to Georgia to finish the season. And Georgia hasn't been very good on the road, but at home they've been pretty darn good. And so you look at Texas A&M, and with 10 wins, you feel like you're probably going to have to go get a sweep to get into the NCAA tournament because of the rest of this league. And so we saw it in softball. We saw softball. There's a bunch of teams that got in. Baseball is going to get a bunch of teams in, but you look right now, and Mississippi State has 12 wins. That means that you got, and that's 4th from the bottom.
Right.
That means you've already got 12 teams that have won 13 or more games going into the last weekend. I find it difficult to see a scenario where the SEC gets more than 13. That means if Mississippi State goes to Missouri and wins 1, then everybody else in this league is going to have at least 13 wins. Yeah, so I think sweep or Texas A&M has to win the SEC tournament. I think that's their only options at this point, which is it's hard to fathom thinking about the expectation for that team coming into the year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Just a complete collapse, really. It's the only thing you can say. And one final note on baseball, Tennessee really has fallen off the last 4 or 5 weeks. It seems like they want to fight every weekend. Last night, same thing with Vanderbilt. Once again, they lose a series and things get chippy out on the field. Both benches kind of clear out. But this is a common occurrence with them, Jason. I mean, this is their mojo. This is their DNA. Everybody knows it. I mean, going back to the beginning of the season when they played Alabama, some run-ins with us, a few weeks ago, and then now, I mean, it's just every weekend. You just expect it.
It is. It's what happens, and part of it happens because you hear it so much and you see it so much from the other dugout that you respond, and when you do, then they get mad. And that's how it happened in the game last night. I think Vanderbilt had heard so much of it all weekend, and then they responded, and then
they didn't
like it, and they lost at home, and so they, I think they haven't won a series since the beginning of April. Which is crazy to think about it. So now they've got to go to Arkansas to finish this thing off. So I think you look at at a team that had so much promise coming in, still highly ranked. But look at Tennessee, a 15-12 Tennessee team going to Arkansas. It feels like maybe 2 gets you a host, but I don't know that it does because of this league, and their RPI is not quite as high. But yeah, maybe if you go win a series at Arkansas, it might do it. But 16 is not going to do it if you've lost 5 straight series to finish the year. So definitely a different feeling for the Vols right now.
Jason or Faith, go ahead. I know you may have a question for Jason.
What do you think? We talked about this a little bit, I think, on either Thursday or Friday last week about, because Tennessee, again, they're just kind of known for everything that's been going on. And Brett gave his opinion on the coach himself. What do you kind of think about just the way that having this coach allow a lot of these, whether it's the chirping, whether it's just the fighting, all that kind of stuff? How do you think the coach is playing that?
Who, Tennessee's coach?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Vitello.
Oh, I think that's his.
He is it.
I think that's his personality. And hey, they won a national championship last year. They've been talented. It's just not the way that I would choose to do things, and I think it bothers other folks around this league. And I think you see it play out when they get on the field. But that's who they are. That's who he is, and that's the way they play. And so, yeah, obviously, if it bothered him, it would change, and it doesn't. So, I think he's the guy that, I mean, against Auburn, he went out and, talked to everybody on the field, including Eric Guevara at first base, and, made himself known. And so, no, I don't think that's, I don't think it's going to change unless somebody says, hey, you better change it. And so far, nobody has pushed that across.
Yeah.
I just think about the way that that's affecting, and just telling these young boys how to react and how to adapt and react to things growing up. Whenever I talk
He's
about
a good example for sure.
right, whenever I talk about those things with the recruits I'm doing right now in football, and that I've been lucky that the 2 that I've had so far, I've said, they're grateful that their coaches right now have taught them how to be a good young man. They're looking for that at the college. And I feel like with Tennessee, a lot of people probably aren't going there for that reason.
Now, you go in there, if you want to be a punk, you go to Tennessee. I mean, if you got that in your DNA, you fit right in up there with him. And again, Jason, not to pound your point, but the thing is like you said, nobody's done anything about it. Well, maybe he gets his tail whipped one day on the field. Maybe he decides he wants to change something about it. But anyway, bottom line is it is allowed to continue on. And, you are a direct reflection of your coach, the team, and again, it may be backfiring this year. They won a national title last year, maybe backfiring a little bit on them this year with all of this, because it maybe gives some of the teams that they're playing a little bit more mojo to go out there and try to put them in their place. I don't know. I'm reaching there. So, fun stuff with Tennessee baseball. All right, Jason, let's talk some recruiting. Some pretty big news with a guy that's on Auburn's radar, and when you're looking at national recruits, this guy's in the top 10 nationally. Emmanuel Iheanacho from Maryland. Just kind of give everybody an update on him. He changed his OVs up this weekend, didn't he?
He did. Massive offensive tackle prospect, a guy that will now visit Auburn, has visited Auburn before. They've been on the schedule, and this is a DMV guy from the DC area. And so Auburn, has all these guys that are already on campus, from St. Francis Academy that he knows. And so there's some relationships here for him at Auburn. And so I think that's a big deal. Can you get him away from what people believe Oregon is the team to beat? Can you get him away there? I mean, there's obviously some really top contenders that you're going to have to beat out, but you're not going to do that unless you get an official visit. And so I think that's going to be a big deal for Manny, as they call him. He is probably the biggest 18-year-old human being I've ever seen in my life, just in terms of just maybe not 7 foot, but like when you look at him, he looks like an NFL offensive lineman.
6'6", 345, 350.
But no fat at all. I mean, he's just a big human being. And so this is a guy that somebody's going to probably plug and play. And there's not many of those guys. When you're talking about he's probably a plug and play offensive tackle, and that doesn't happen very often. So for Auburn getting a visit is really important.
Jason, I'll keep it with you real quick because I know you got to go here in just a few minutes. Just kind of give everybody an update. You and I and Faith were talking before the show about how many official visits, Auburn's going to have here in the next couple of months. I mean, it's just a new day and age and the way things are done. And, we're following Cedarian Morgan here in Alexander City, and he was just in Colorado, and I know he'll be in Auburn in a few weeks. And just kind of talk about it because a big weekend coming up this weekend, and then just from here on out, you're just going to have a bunch of big-time guys coming in and visit. Just kind of your thoughts on maybe how many commitments you land here in the next, let's say, month and a half.
Yeah, I think you feel like you'll probably get a few here. I think you'll start to see decisions made in July and August, right before senior seasons. That's kind of now the thought process for a lot of these guys. There'll be some decisions that come a little earlier than that, but I think you feel like you probably add a couple of guys here in the next 4 to 5 weeks during this visit stretch, and then maybe a few more as you head into the season. I think that's going to be probably the thought process you have. And who those are, how it works, I think that's all still to be determined. But you look at it, and I mentioned it. I mean, I think there is more than a dozen right now scheduled. I think it's 14, 15 official visits for this weekend.
It's huge.
Here in May. Then you'll have usually about every other week heading into June, you're going to have 14, 15. I think right now the thought is that there could be more than 60 official visits that take place at Auburn before this thing goes dead, which is June 23rd. So you're talking about a little over a month. Could be as many as 60 official visits that happen in this next 5-week stretch. And that's it's crazy to think about. That used to be January. Then it kind of switched to November, December. Then it became June. Now it's May and June. It's the busiest time of the year in terms of official visits.
Jason got a question from Justin right there. He said, do you expect more commits between now and the season start, or those last 2 to 3 weeks before early signing day?
Yeah, I think it's much more now than it is then. I think most of these things are going to be decided well before December, which is when that would be. So I would say that majority of your class is probably going to be done by the end of September. That would be my guess. And there'll still be a few guys here or there that you might wait on. But I think, especially from a high school perspective, you're going to see a lot of this done pretty quickly over the summer and into that early August time.
Jason, one last thing before we let you go here, approaching a little past 8:30 here. Some guys, like you said, going to be several in this weekend. Who are some of the ones you're looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, and I think you look and start to talk about potential guys, things you look at. Bryce Perry Wright's a guy from Buford High School. I mean, powerhouse Buford. Bryce has been a visitor a bunch. Scheduled to come in. Landon Duckworth, quarterback from Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we've seen a bunch. Then a couple of running backs, Derek Cooper from South Florida, Jay Lamar from over in Georgia, are a couple of guys there. And then some defensive line guys, Vodney Cleveland from up at Parker. We saw him last week. And then Trenton Henderson is a pass rusher from Pensacola. So those are a few of the guys to watch. Again, more than a dozen guys in, but that's a couple of the bigger names. So you're talking about 8 or 9 4-star guys that are scheduled to be in as we talk about this morning.
Jason, is always great stuff, man. We really appreciate it. I know you're heading out to the golf course, and we always appreciate you taking time to be on with us here on the Auburn Blitz, mostly on Monday mornings whenever you can work it out. And Jason, tell everybody before you go how they can find you guys at 24/7.
Yep, check us out at auburnundercover.com, part of the 24/7 network. Follow us all social media platforms. Find me on Twitter at @ATJason.
Jason, appreciate it, buddy. Have a good week.
Get your walking shoes on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wear those rain boots, man.
Yeah, no, I got to walk more than I'd rather have wet feet than hurt feet. So I'm good.
There you go. You can always go get you some more tennis shoes. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Jason.
Okay? Thanks, Jason. It's Jason Caldwell with Auburn Undercover. Faith, again, just so much going on and so much to dive into. Glad to have Jason there for about 30 minutes. Let's get back to some of our partners here on the program. Sure Shot in Alex City.
Sure Shot right up 280 from Auburn, not far at all. They've got all your firearm apparel and hunting needs, sell and trade new and used firearms. Excuse me. But Scott up there, he's awesome. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what you need when you tell him kind of what you're interested in. So give him a call at 256-329-0080.
And Oliver Ross.
Oliver Ross, if you have a party of 20,000 people, I don't know where you're finding those people, but if it's a convention, if it's anything, or if it's just a family gathering or a small thing of 20 people, Oliver Ross is going to be able to take care of y'all. They've got licensed and certified bartenders who, you take care of your entertainment and they're going to take care of the drinks and bartending. So you don't have to, like Brett says, spill all over yourself, make a mess, and you just would have to kind of leave and step away from the entertainment.
What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment. I mean,
right. So just call in the professionals. Oliver Ross is going to take care of y'all.
We say that about all of our partners. They're the professionals. So why are you trying to do it yourself? You say that all the time. So don't do it yourself.
Don't DIY it. Come on.
And just don't screw it up. Let the professionals do what they are trained to do. All right. A few more things before we get off here on this Monday. Again, if you're going out to the golf course today for the regional, you're going to have to dodge some rain, but right now everything's on.
I love it. I just look outside like I'm there and I'm not.
Well, it's raining there too. So
it is.
It sucks everywhere right now. So I'm ready for it to all get out of here. And we've had enough rain.
It's supposed to stop tomorrow, but it's going to keep.
It's just going to keep. Yeah, I think it'll be done. Maybe Wednesday. Well, we'll have to move if it is
Wednesday for a little bit.
Right. So then I think dry for the rest of the week after that. So we'll keep our fingers crossed.
89 degrees.
I'll take hot over this. I'm sorry.
But it's going to be so humid.
It's going to be real humid, but it's.
So make sure you get your carrier unit from Cincinnati.
I mean, perfect segue right there for the carrier and Cincinnati Green spot. We talked briefly, and this is something that Randy and I talked about a little bit on Saturday morning. The bowl, or actually the college football playoff, proposing a 16-team playoff. We knew that was going to happen eventually. It hasn't been set yet, but with that, some of the talk is that the SEC and the Big Ten would get 4 teams in. So they're setting automatic team as far as each conference, and then ACC would get 2, Big 12 would get 2, 1 would go to the G6, and then 3 at-large bids. So I guess technically the SEC could get more than 4 with the at-large, and however that thing works out. But bottom line is, Randy and I talked about this. When you have a playoff and you expand it to 16, or if you keep it at 12, you start putting stipulations on how people get in. I mean, you really kind of defeat the purpose of the playoff, right? I mean, like we talked about the stupid TV ratings having a impact on who gets in and who doesn't. I mean, if you start setting all these parameters and stipulations, are you really getting the best teams in at that point? I don't know. I mean, just seems like you'd figure out a way to say, okay, we're going to have a 16-team playoff, but we know money is the driving force behind all this.
We know too, just kind of about how people have said that the toughness of the schedule is not also being put in consideration. I just think all of that is kind of just defeating the purpose of it. Before, it was the best 2 teams in the nation battling for a championship, and now it's, if you have an easier schedule and you have more wins, it's not. So
they don't even have, to me, not to cut you off, but that's a problem. I mean, you don't even know. Last year, teams got in that had a mush schedule and had more wins.
Right.
And
My
now
point being,
are they going to flip that though this year? They're going to say, well, we're going to start honoring teams.
but if
that
you're
haven't
having 4 SEC teams, 4 Big 12, 2 ACC, I mean, it could still be just some of the easiest schedule
It could.
they get in. And again, I don't think we know nothing's fair, but I don't think that's fair when there are teams that just have a massively more difficult schedule than other teams.
You know, we say this all the time, and we said it right after the football season ended. You know, why would you go out and schedule a Baylor to start the season now if the committee's not going to reward or they're going to penalize you? Because you can look at Ole Miss, you can look at maybe even Alabama if you want to throw it out there, 2 9-win teams this year, and they didn't get in the playoff. And, you know, maybe Indiana got in over them. I mean, you remember the debate, and Indiana played maybe one team all year, and they lost to that team. It was Ohio State. So,
well, yeah, and then that's when Lane Kiffin said, we might as well just make our schedule the easiest because it's all about who.
He's got a valid point.
He does, 100%. But I think it's just, this is giving. Everybody needs to be equal. Everybody needs to.
Can the committee just actually set some guidelines and what they're going to expect and what they expect for the teams instead of it's always some type of gray area? I mean, there's always this ambiguity on, well, I mean, because all conferences aren't created equal. Okay. So let's just be honest about that. And people can complain and cry and whatever they want to do. But the Big 12 and the ACC just right now aren't nearly as tough as the Big 10 and the SEC. So, again, but I don't agree with setting parameters of ACC and Big 12 only getting 2 teams in because Randy brought this up Saturday. What if Miami, Florida State, Clemson, and all them get good again? I mean, I'm not saying Clemson's not good now, but I'm saying what if they have 3 or 4 teams that get really, really good? And now you're saying the ACC, and what if the SEC kind of takes a step back? You know, and there's maybe only 2 teams that are worthy of a playoff berth. And the ACC has 4. You're going to set this parameter where it doesn't matter. The SEC is going to get 4 and ACC. I'm, of course, always going to be a defender of the SEC, but it's not fair to say you got 4 Power 4 conferences and you're going to give 4 bids to 2 of them and 2 to the others.
It doesn't matter about what's fair anymore.
No, it's about money. And they've already made that very clear. And that's what everybody needs to understand when it comes to NIL, comes to these rosters. Texas spending $40 million. Oregon, like, all right, let's just use Emmanuel or Manny Iheanacho, the one that we just talked about from Maryland. He's changing his official visits up. He's added Auburn. Took Alabama away, added Auburn. Also added LSU. But it's Oregon is the leader. How many more guys are you going to see Oregon swoop in and take away from everybody because they have an unlimited account because Nike's feeding their NIL with Phil Knight. And Phil Knight's come out and made it very clear, I want to win a national championship before I die, so I don't care. There is no price. So he can just buy whoever he wants. There's another team you and I are hearing on the road when we go out everywhere, Texas A&M. You're going to continue hearing that because they got a war chest that is second to nobody's out there. So Texas A&M, you know, you look over at Oregon with Nike. I mean, Maryland's all of a sudden in the mix on all these guys because of Under Armour. I mean, you got to look at the backing and where this stuff's coming from. You know, Arkansas, does Walmart decide to get into the game? I mean, they're already in the game, but, you know, nobody's got more money than Walmart. And sitting right there in Fayetteville, Arkansas, do they start pouring unlimited funds?
What, Tyson too is up there?
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
what do you do? I mean,
everything is just changing to the point of it's not enjoyable anymore and it's not fun to watch anymore. I mean, it is, but it's just,
it is when it kicks off, but then you go back to this when
so
you and I
unenjoyable when you're
5 days a week,
like,
we're talking
why
about
is it all about money? Why is it all about this? Why can't these kids play to make it to the NFL. When before we were talking about how the NFL was all based on money and how, it affected a lot of those guys with the way they were spending money. And now
Right.
you're coming right out of high school and you're getting handed this amount of money.
It's a great time, like Glenn said, to be 18 years old. If you got the talent and all to grab the golden ticket. I mean, this is the time to do that. Now, again, is there some regulations coming? You better believe it, because this is a unsustainable path. And I thought that, I don't know if you heard me say this weekend or not, Faith, but Clay Travis pretty much came out and said that it was the equivalent of when they tore the wall down in Germany and you went from a communist society to a free capitalist society literally overnight. And the pendulum swung from here all the way over to here. You had people selling everything. You had people selling kidneys and, organs and nuclear warheads and all this kind of stuff. It was a free for all. Then they walked it back to regulate it, because it's not that you don't want capitalism, but you got to have some type of regulation on what you can sell and how you can sell it and all that. Well, right now, the NCAA, there are no rules that can be enforced, because every time they try to enforce something, they get sued. So, yeah, the government has to establish some type of governing body that can hold everybody accountable to the rules everybody's agreed upon. And, there's going to be a group that feels like they got screwed, because when they decide to make some adjustments to this, that group's going to say, well, crap, I didn't get all of what so-and-so got.
I know, saying it now, probably it makes sense that it would have been into effect. But I think before all of this happened and the NIL turnover and all that kind of stuff,
right,
there should have been regulations and rules to it. There's no way that they could have thought that this wasn't going to end up happening.
But they had nobody in place to enforce it, and they had nobody in place to do anything about it. So that's why we're here, and everybody's looking around going, who's going to step up and do something about it? And I'm not sure there's anybody that's willing to do that right now. But anyway, yeah, Justin, I hear you for sure. Hey, don't lose 3 games. I agree 100%. Don't lose to Kentucky at home, Ole Miss, and then don't go on the road and lay an egg against Florida. That was horrible last year. And Alabama don't get blown out by Oklahoma. And I think they attempted 4 passes all game, and Jackson Arnold ran for like 230 yards. I mean, yes, take care of your business, but also don't let Indiana in at 11-1 when they played 9 high school teams, a couple of JUCOs, and then one major opponent, and say, oh, okay, they're warranted, and there's just a bunch of flaws in it. I guess is my point. I'm not defending Alabama or Ole Miss. I don't like either one of them. But I'm also not a staunch supporter of Indiana and Kirk Cignetti up there running his trap with his arrogant self, telling everybody, and then he goes to the playoff and they get dusted. And everybody goes, well, we knew that was coming, because they were smoking mirrors all year. So it is what it is. They got to figure out a way to, and when I say they, the committee, whoever this is, to try to bring in some type of accountability for schedule strength, because you get a ton of credit in basketball. Now, I know it's a different deal. There's 68 teams and all this kind of stuff, but the goal is to play. I mean, Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl are going out trying to see how many unbelievably tough teams in the out-of-conference schedule they can add. In football, they're sending the opposite message. You need to go schedule about as many cupcake teams outside of your conference schedule as you can, because all it's about is wins.
Right.
So rack up wins, So we'll see. Yeah, just said as long as no undefeated team gets left out, Auburn 04, FSU the other year. I mean, you gotta put some stipulations in place to make it. And there's going to be people that get injured. Florida State's quarterback got injured, and kind of an unwritten rule that, without him, and rightfully so, same with Auburn in 10, if Cam Newton had gone down, people would have gone, that ain't the same team. Obviously not. But do you just wash the entire season away because that one guy got hurt? That's kind of extreme too. So maybe they'll figure it out. I have no faith that they will, no pun intended towards you, but
Thanks.
maybe faith has faith, and that's all that matters. All right, let's go to a couple more of our partners here before we get off. Old Number One Customs.
Just like we say, don't DIY it for 2 years. Don't DIY it. Stick to the professionals with Old Number One Customs for them to come in and out of your house in 2 weeks if you need the renovation of your kitchen or your bathroom when your wife's been nagging on you to get her that beautiful bathroom or that beautiful kitchen. Think about all the wonderful dinners you're going to be eating in that beautiful kitchen because she's going to be able to move around and all the cabinets aren't going to be, unable to open at the same time. Stick to the professionals at Old Number One Customs.
334-752-6162 for that new kitchen or bathroom in 2 weeks. Like Faith said, don't do it yourself. Don't be stupid.
For 2 years?
That's right.
Just
call that number, 334-752-6162. And here's a number that's even easier to remember.
844-JFA-BLUE. If you want that Home Atlas water filter duo in your house for each and every faucet to have purified filtered water coming out of, call on JFA Blue Plumbing. They're going to be able to make sure that, you can't put a price on health. They're going to be able to make sure all the water that you're drinking is good for you and good for your body. Your body's made up of 75% water. So make sure it's at least filtered, purified water.
Absolutely. We all want to be drinking clean, safe water. So make sure you do that. Yeah, absolutely. JFA Blue Plumbing. All right. Ed said even Saban admitted there will be regulations coming for the universities, but you will never stop the Phil Knights of the world for paying players. They really want. No, I mean, that goes back to what was going on prior to all this. It's never going to be a perfect scenario, but at least if it's out in the open, and you do have some rules and regulations, and right now there's nothing to police. I mean, there's tampering going on in the wide open, and at least if you could give some power back to somebody, organized body that could say, look, if you go and do this, and you can keep doing it, but if you get caught, we're going to penalize you. So at least there was that fear in the back of the mind that, hey, if you get caught, probably going to get punished. Right now, nobody's worried. Who are you worried about? Who are you scared of?
After you?
Yeah, I mean, when there's no police out there in the streets, nobody is scared of breaking a window out and going in and stealing somebody's stuff. I mean, there's got to be the deterrent, at least the thought of a deterrent there against some of that. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get guys that get paid under the table. That is right now. You just have a bunch of tampering in wide open in front of everybody, and there's nobody to regulate it. So, all right, that's going to wrap it up here on this Monday. Again, we appreciate all of you so much for finding us here on the Auburn Blitz.
We're almost at 5.5.
What? Yeah, we're almost at 5,500. I mean, we are rocking and rolling
on
our subscribers. Yeah, absolutely. A big thank you to everybody out there of continuing to spread the word and helping us build this. And if you like our content, please continue to spread the word. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so.
We'll be back on at noon together.
Absolutely. So ready to get after that. So if you missed us this morning, you can tune us in at noon. So and then you can catch this show anytime during the day. That's the beauty about being on YouTube and Facebook. You can catch us whenever. So you don't have to catch us live, but we appreciate all of you that do and get your morning started with us. All right, Faith, we'll get out of here and get ready to film our noon show here in just a little bit. But we hope everybody
has the best day ever.
And a big old
War Eagle.